So thanks everyone for joining us today for our Wednesday 101 webinar featuring an intro to car maintenance. So super happy to have the Enactus Stay Driven team here to present about that. We will get to them in just a minute. I wanted to just introduce myself. I'm Leslie Scott. I'm the founder of Reuseful, and we're a sustainability focused nonprofit. So we do these webinars twice a month. We have Undumpster Days, which we just had one on Saturday. We had 286 cars come through with still good items or electronics or tires to recycle, and also paper shredding. So we just had one of those on Saturday, and then this Saturday we have a repair cafe coming up in Platte City, and could still use volunteers if anybody's interested and has a some skills fixing things. So you can just let us know if that's something you're interested in doing. And then lastly, we have our donation matching platform on our website. So if you have something that you would like to give to one of our charity partners, you can find that charity partner by going to our website, hitting donate, and then entering the search criteria you have, and then there will be a list of organizations that match your search criteria. You can learn a little bit more by clicking on their name and even contact them to arrange for your donation through the site, through email. We say we're like Tinder, but we don't make the dinner reservation for you. So everybody connects directly with those charity partners to arrange for their donation. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Joel and the rest of the Enactus Stay Driven team, and excited to hear what you have to say.
Hello, guys. As Leslie said, my name is Joel Garcia. I'm the project leader of Stay Driven at UMKC Enactus. Just a little bit of background, what Enactus does is Enactus is a student-led organization at UMKC, where we basically just identify problems in the community and make like small businesses. I like to call them like small nonprofits, but just projects to like help the community. Stay Driven is one of those projects where we actually have the former project leader here with me, Gaji, where, yeah, last year, the problem that was identified was at this organization called Operation Breakthrough, um, where they help under-resourced families, 70% of the families at Operation Breakthrough, which we'll talk about in a little bit, get less than $12,000 a year, and they need child assistance and just different resources. So what Stay Driven did with Operation Breakthrough was have service day where we would go and have oil changes, tire pressure checks, just the basic car maintenance in their cars because they don't have the money, knowledge, or time to work on their own cars. So yeah, that's a little bit about Enactus and Stay Driven, which we'll dive into it a little bit if Gaji wants to also introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. My name's Gaji, and I used to work as a technician at a couple auto shops in Kansas City. I recently graduated from UMKC in December, and like Joel had mentioned, I helped sort of spearhead the project. Joel has continued the good work on, and one of the elements that we're going to be doing today is just going into teaching a little bit more about car maintenance and spreading that, going beyond just doing a service day and sharing that knowledge and information. And later on, I'll be part of the Q&A session. So if you guys have questions about anything going on with your vehicle, I'll do my best to answer them. But I'll pass it back to Joel.
Thank you, thank you. And also, I want to give a thank you to Leslie because we've been like working together planning this for quite a while now. So I'm just excited that we're finally doing this. Um, I don't know if Leah, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Leah. I am a senior at UMKC, and I've been heavily involved with the Enactus team for kind of my entire time at UMKC, 3 years. So I am currently the vice president of the organization and really just working in a supporting role to help stay driven with the service days, with this webinar, with everything they're working on.
Yeah, thank you. But okay, just we can start diving into more of what Stage Driven does, what we have done. So yeah, just keeping families on the road to success. Just something catchy that we decided on, but um, something that like I would just want people to think about is like you imagining your car breaks down, like it says right here, and like you just a lot of people have the luxury to have the money to fix their cars, to work on their cars, take it to a mechanic, just reroute when something happens to your car. But a lot of people don't have um, that ability to do that. A lot of people don't have the money, they don't have the time, and for low income families, it's very crucial because it affects um, them going to the grocery store, them going to take their kids to school, pick them up, just doing a lot of essential things. I mean, um, Kansas City is the fifth most car dependent metro in the US. And just thinking of all the families that aren't able to have a car every day, that's just a very crucial thing that they have to work around one way or another. So a lot of car repairs go unaddressed. Like I said, it risks unemployment, childcare, stability, just all around. It's really crucial to have a car. And so Operation Breakthrough was the organization that Stay Driven partnered with last year, the first year of the project, because they didn't have the resources to address the issue, and it would just really help the families there. So just the solution that Stay Driven has, like I've been talking about, the service days, where we have last year, April 4th was the first service day that Stay Driven had with Operation Breakthrough, where they had oil changes, tire pressure checks, oil filters, fluid washer fluid top offs, and windshield wiper replacements. There were also some things like headlight replacements, any special asks that the families needed. So that's what they did last year. And then this year, we just had another service day with Operation Breakthrough. So that was our second one. And we're also planning on another service day with another organization called the Village Initiative, which is in Kansas City, Kansas. And I actually work with them also, like outside of school, just that's just where I work at. So I really have a strong connection to them. So that's what we do with the service days, and then also this webinar, which is a big step for us because we're just trying to expand and really focus on like more education for families as well. Not just fixing people's cars, but also teaching people how to maintain their own cars, because that's just more sustainable for families, sustainable for anybody if they can work on their own cars, saving money, and just time. So yeah, and then the impact. So last year we serviced 29 cars at Operation Breakthrough, total of 141 people, 102 kids, 39 adults. And then this year was 27 cars for Operation Breakthrough as well, 121 people, 85 kids, and 36 adults. And the goal for the Village Initiative is 30 cars. So that service day is April 18th. So we're just waiting on that, working hard to plan on that. So we're excited for that service day as well. And then just a little bit about the team before we head into the videos. I'm the project leader. I'm a freshman, class of 2028. And this is my beautiful team right here in the bottom. That was the last service day that we just had. We had mechanics come in. We had some of my cousins come in to work on some cars. We had just people all around campus, really, business majors, engineering majors. We had somebody that really is really involved in the team is a theater major, a film theater major. So we have really a wide variety of people involved, and that's just why I love Enactus. It's just, it's just great organization. So yeah, now I don't know if there's any questions for me before we dive into the videos. Any question, we can just dive into them, but I want to take some time. If there's any questions for me, I can give like 5, 10 seconds. All right, bet. All right, we'll head into the first video. And this is the first topic. We're gonna go over oil changes, the importance of oil changes, oil filters, tires, tire pressure, just really maintaining tires, and then washer fluid, windshield wipers. And yeah, the first one is gonna be oil changes. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a short video.
Hey there. Today we're talking about something that keeps your engine running smoothly: oil changes and oil filters. Why is it so important to change your oil regularly? Well, engine oil keeps the moving parts inside your engine lubricated, reducing friction and helping prevent wear and tear. But over time, oil breaks down, gets dirty, and loses its effectiveness. Here's how to check. First, open your hood and look for the oil cap. Usually it's labeled with something like oil or an oil can symbol. If you don't have your car manual, no worries. You can always find the oil type and oil filter information online by searching your car's make, model, and year. Now, how often should you change your oil? Most cars need an oil change every 3 to 5,000 miles, but check your car's manual for specific guidance. You can check if it's time for an oil change by removing the dipstick from the engine. If your oil looks dark and dirty, or if you hear strange engine noises, that's a big red flag. Here's a visual you can use to know if it's time for a change. And don't forget the oil filter. The filter catches dirt and debris, keeping your oil clean. Over time, the filter can clog, so it's important to change it regularly, usually every other oil change. Neglecting oil changes can have severe consequences. If you let the oil get too old, it can cause your engine to overheat or even seize up entirely, leading to major expensive damage. It's serious. Make sure you're staying on top of it.
Okay, so that was the let me get that was the first video for oil changes. So yeah, it was pretty. We wanted to keep it pretty short. Don't want to make it too long. Just get to the point. And then the main things about oil changes. I don't know. Based on that video, if there's any questions, I know the oil filter part. Some of the things we couldn't really show everything of where to locate it. So really, if there's any questions, you guys can just comment them, say them, or however you guys want to do that. Different cars are all different, like different oil types, different oil filters, really different everything. So if there's any specific questions there might be, you can put them in the comments, I think.
So, Joel, Rachel said, what is an example of a weird noise?
I was gonna say,
Alright.
it looks like someone replied, ticking is a good one. I think in addition to noise, it's like how your engine feels too. Um, I think when you get an oil change, you can feel like the engine feels a lot fresher, but as it gets a little older, you'll feel like the engine is bogging down a little bit. But ticking is an indicator that there could be low oil or the oil is getting thin. Sometimes it can be sort of like a little bit louder than a ticking. I think anything out of the ordinary is something you want to pay attention to. Trust your gut. Listen to your car. Whenever I think a good indicator is like after an oil change, listen to what it sounds like. And that can be a good standard of what it should be like. And if it changes anything out of the ordinary from that, then you would want to maybe check your oil, open up the engine hood and look around and see if there's anything sticking out. Kelly's asking, what about synthetic oil 10,000 miles? So oil changes are pretty interesting. The newer the vehicle is, so cars made in 2020 on, a lot of dealerships will recommend 10,000 and maybe even 20,000 mile intervals. Um, that can be true for the first oil change or the first two oil changes, but as an engine or a car gets older, you want to increase the frequency at which you're changing the oil. So when a car hits about 100,000 miles, like you want to be hitting that consistent 5,000 mile frequency. And as it gets even older, you want to maybe go down to 4,000 or 3,000 because um, the oil will just wear out a lot quicker on a older vehicle than a newer vehicle. And so it's always better to err on a higher frequency instead of letting it ride because oil changes are comparatively significantly cheaper than a car or an engine repair. So if you're in a position where you're like, should I do an oil change? Should I not? I'm at, 8,000, 9,000 miles. It'll be better for you and your vehicle in the long run if you go ahead and do that. Um, and I know cost is obviously always a thing that you have to be cognizant of, but um, it's if you can try and prioritize that frequency and keep that routine up, it'll really make your car last a lot longer.
Okay, great, great. Is there any?
Yeah, that's another good question. Synthetic is always preferable over regular. It just doesn't break down as quickly. There's sometimes an in between where it's a synthetic blend. Even that you want to prefer full synthetic if you have the option. Regular or conventional oil just breaks down a lot quicker. And if you can afford a little bit of the tools to figure out how to change your oil, synthetic oil changes can be really inexpensive, around $30 if you're doing it yourself. Shops will add a huge premium to synthetic. They might charge 30 or $40 for a regular or conventional oil change, and then they'll mark it up $50 if you're going to do synthetic. You're not going to see as much of a difference in the cost if you're doing the oil change yourself.
Okay. I think if there's, I'll give like 5, 10 seconds. Oh, there you go.
Have a 2007 Honda Accord, just over 110,000 miles. Oil changes should be 4 to 5,000 miles, and use which type. That's what Joel was saying. If you ever need, I can figure it out for you. But if you ever are confused about what oil type your car needs, Google is a really good indicator. So one thing that I will note is certain makes and models like the Honda Accord, sometimes certain years they'll have maybe a 4-cylinder and a 6-cylinder for that same car. You just want to make sure that you're looking into what the engine is in your vehicle. But let me do a quick check.
I have a Honda Accord 2007 actually too. So mine is 5W20. I have an EX though. So guys, you can do the more specifics on that.
Yeah, so it looks like there's a 4-cylinder and 6-cylinder for this Accord. It depends on what engine is in there. Um, and it looks like 5W20 is pretty standard. Another quick tip is if you check your dipstick and your oil level is low, um, and you're sort of in a crunch and you go to a store and they only have like one type of oil, that's also like, oh, it's okay in an emergency situation to mix oil types because having oil in the engine will always be better than not having oil at all. And so if you're always like, oh, I don't know if I have the right oil and I'm low or my car is making noises, in that situation, it's okay to just buy a different weight oil. And you can always talk to a store clerk and get some advice on that. But um, oil will always lubricate the engine. Some is just more effective and efficient for your car. Expensive versus cheap oil filters. There's a lot of debate on that. I think I usually err on a mid-tier oil filter given the option, but if you have the time, do some research. Ultimately, the best oil filter will always be the original it's called an OEM filter. So it's what came on the car out of the factory. So if you have the time to order that online, that's always going to be the best one. Honda will make Honda oil filters for their vehicles. Subaru will make Subaru oil filters for the vehicles. And you can't always find those at like AutoZones and O'Reilly's, and you need to order those. But that will always be the best case scenario because it's what the company meant for that vehicle. But if you need to, I totally use it. AutoZone oil, branded oil filters. Like you don't need to make sure you stick to that. But mid tier is always generally pretty effective. Um, Joel, I think we can move on to the next question. We can circle back to some more questions in a second.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We'll go on to the next video, which will be tires. So it's gonna be a few different topics. So we'll start it up.
Next up, let's talk about something that literally keeps you on the road, your tires. They're one of the most important parts of your car when it comes to safety, and proper tire maintenance can save you money in the long run. First thing you need to check is the tread depth. Tread is the pattern on the tire that grips the road. If your tread gets too low, it can affect your traction, especially in wet or slippery conditions. The quarter or penny test is an easy way to check if your tread is worn down. Simply place a quarter into the tread with the president's head facing down. If you can see the top of his head, it's time for new tires. Now, when it comes time to replace your tires, you need to know what size to buy. The size is printed on the right side of your tire. You'll see a series of numbers like this, 225/60R16. You can use those size numbers to order new tires or take them to a preferred local mechanic. Next, tire pressure is key. You can use a tire pressure checker to check your pressure at a Quick Trip or local car store for free. You can find the recommended pressure in your car's manual or on a sticker inside the driver's side door. You can also double check the tire pressure on the side of your tire. Too high or too low tire pressure can affect your car's handling, which can lead to unexpected car accidents. It can also decrease your fuel efficiency, which means you'll have to spend more money on gas. Lastly, it can even cause your tires to wear out prematurely, which is also more money being spent and a slippery risk on the road. You should check your tire pressure monthly or whenever you notice your car pulling to one side. Now, let's talk about a blowout. This happens when your tire bursts while you're driving, usually because it was too worn down or had low air pressure. Neglecting your tires can lead to accidents, blowouts, and unnecessary wear and tear on your car. And once again, worn tires can seriously affect your fuel efficiency, meaning you'll spend more money on gas. Don't wait until it's too late to replace them. That's why keeping your tires in good shape is so important.
Oh, I was muted.
One thing I
no,
wanted to add to that is that when the temperature changes, like if it goes from freezing to really warm, your tire pressure will change because um, basically the air molecules change inside your tire. So it's always good to recheck your tire pressure when there's huge changes in temperature. Um, and that'll keep you, at that preferred level, giving you the best gas mileage.
yeah, and I would definitely say right now is the time to do that since the weather's been changing a lot and we're going into spring. So yeah, definitely that. Any questions? Go ahead and put them in the comments. I know there's gonna be some questions for the tires. This is crucial. Let's see. I'll give it a few seconds.
Yeah, do you have any specific questions on rotating tires, or just do you want to know a little bit more? How often? I think it really depends on how much you drive your car, but at the end of the day, if you can rotate your tires once a year, that's ideal. Um, and shops shouldn't charge that much for it. You can even do it yourself if you have like a scissor jack or a regular jack. Um, it'll be more of a hassle because you're using hand tools, but um, rotating it is basically the idea of you're putting your rear tires to your front and your front tires to your rear, and that allows them to wear out evenly. And it's more important for front wheel or rear wheel drive vehicles because that causes basically front wheel drive, front wheels will always wear out faster than the rear. And then for rear wheel drive, rear tires will wear out faster than the front. So by rotating them, that consistently makes sure that the tread is coming down at sort of a consistent manner. For four-wheel drive vehicles, you still want to rotate them, um, but it's not as important because you're getting power to all four wheels. So ideally, they should be wearing pretty evenly. How do tires get bubbles in them? Just had to replace mine because two had bubbles. There's a few things. If you if you basically hit a tire against a curb or like a hard object, that can cause the rubber to delaminate, and that'll cause bubbles to occur. That's one way. The second way is if tires get old, they can start to delaminate as well over time, and so that will cause bubbles to occur. The last way is if you got a new set of tires and neither of those things happened, it could be a manufacturer defect, and anytime that happens, I think anytime you get something replaced or repaired from a shop and something out of the ordinary happens, like bubbles on the tire, you always want to bring it back to the shop because there's something called a manufacturer warranty, and if you communicate that ahead of in a fast enough time, you can sometimes get that replaced for free. But if you let time go by and you don't communicate that, then you might hit sort of a limit where they can't help you anymore. So if it's a new set of tires and you start noticing bubbling, you should definitely take that to a shop and communicate that. How important is it to let the car tires cool before checking tire pressure? Um, I think for the average driver, it's not as important and is kind of niche. If you're racing a car, like you're braking and accelerating very frequently, that will heat up the tire and change the pressure. Normally, when you're just driving, you're never going to generate enough heat in the tires for there to be a change. So I would say you don't really have to worry about that other than actual temperature. If it's like freezing or a really hot day, that's a good time to check.
That's just something my dad had always said, so I was curious.
Yeah, I think it's marginal for the average driver. But if you're generating a lot of heat, or if your brakes are going bad and generating heat, then that can really change how the tires are performing. Paige asked, thank you. Wanted to make sure I could do anything to prevent on my new tires. They were older, so that makes sense. Yeah, of course. I'll take a pause on questions and then we can move on to the next video, but we can always circle back to some tire questions later.
Yeah, and I was gonna say you mentioned brakes, so that's gonna be our next topic. We can move on to that.
And last but definitely not least, brakes. Let's talk about one of the most critical parts of your car. They keep you safe, so they're absolutely something you need to stay on top of. Brakes wear down over time, especially with heavy driving or a lot of stop and go traffic. Keeping your brake system in tip-top shape can help you avoid dangerous situations on the road. If your brake pedal feels soft or if you hear squeaking or grinding noises when you stop, that's a sign something's up. It could mean your brake pads are worn out and need replacing. Make sure you have your brakes checked regularly, usually every 20,000 to 40,000 miles,
depending on your driving habits. Ignoring brake issues could lead to longer stopping distances, accidents, or even complete brake failure. This is one of the most dangerous issues you can ignore. In the worst case scenario, brake failure can lead to fatal accidents, so always address any brake concerns immediately to keep you and your family safe.
Okay. And then something I do want to mention as well with the brakes, why is the rotators. The I mean not the brake rotors. Because once you let the brakes like go too much, you start feeling like a grind, like that grinding noise, and those are just so expensive. Like yeah, I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about, but if y'all have any questions over that, brakes can be so expensive if you don't take care of the brakes, if you don't keep up with them.
I want to add one more thing. With brakes, there's brake fluid, and that needs to be flushed every, it depends on the car, but basically between 50 and 100,000 miles. Brake fluid basically is what creates pressure for the brake pads to then squeeze on the brake rotor, which is what Joel was talking about. Um, and water can get introduced into it over time. So finding a shop to flush that fluid will help make sure that your brakes are operating. And it also keeps your brake lines from rusting because water gets introduced in there. If you don't replace your brake fluid over a long period of time, your brake lines can rust and then you'll have to replace those, which is a costly expense. Um, I'm sure you might have seen .3 or .4 brake fluids. One thing to note is that you can always use .4 on a vehicle that has .3 in it, but you cannot go the other way around. There's some new cars that require .4 brake fluid. You can't add .3 to it. It'll actually cause some issues there. So .4 works on .3, .3 does not work on .4. But yeah, any questions on brakes?
We'll give it a few seconds, and then we'll have one more video. Then we'll dive into some resources around the community. Around a lot, I know I saw a lot of people from KC Mo, so there's a lot of resources around the community that you can use, discounts, just deals that you can look for, because we know cars aren't cheap.
To be leaving at 10:45. So if you guys have questions, try and fit them in before I gotta head out. But um happy to check out those next videos there. Good, Joel.
All right, but we can move on. I thought it was gonna be some question about the. Oh, and now it's gonna be the washer fluid and the wipers. And then just for your information, some of these pictures are from the service day that we just had. So if you like a picture that's there, shout out Bridger. He's our marketing guy. So yeah. Ever find yourself driving with streaky windows and wishing you had more washer fluid? Well, today we're talking about the often overlooked hero of your car, windshield washer fluid. It may seem small, but washer fluid is super important for keeping your windshield clear and helping you see the road. Plus, it's specially formulated to break down dirt, grime, and bugs that water alone can't handle. You'll find the washer fluid reservoir under the hood. It's usually easy to spot with a cap that has a windshield symbol on it. Simply pop it open and top it off when it gets low. You should check it at least once a month or anytime your windows look streaky. You don't want to wait until you're stuck in a rainstorm with no way to clear your windshield. Signs it's time to refill: when the sprayer isn't spraying or you notice your windshield is dirty even after you use it. And trust me, you don't want to run out on a busy day. Speaking of visibility,
let's talk about something that's just as important: windshield wipers. These little guys keep your windshield clear, especially in wet weather. Wiper blades are made to wipe away rain, snow, and debris so they're exposed to the elements all the time. Over time, they can wear out and lose its effectiveness. How do you know when it's time to replace them? If you notice streaks or if your wipers are making a squeaky noise, it's time for a new set. Typically, you should check them every 6 months or so, and if you're in an area with harsh weather like snow or heavy rain, inspect them more often. The best way to keep your wipers in top shape is to keep your windshield clean and always use them properly. Let them go too long without replacement and you'll end up with a blurry view of the road. Definitely something you want to avoid when driving in a storm or at night. Poor visibility is one of the leading causes of accidents, especially in emergency situations. All right, that was the last video, washer fluid and wipers. We can move on to any questions or anything that, if you want to add anything, Gaji, any questions? Anybody? I'll just leave it on to you guys. We can get one more question just for the last video.
So Joel, I have a question about wipers. How do you know what size wipers are replaced, to replace them? Like, walk us through that.
Yeah, I can answer that. So something that's pretty simple that I always do is I just search up my car make, model, and year, and then like search up what size it uses. It usually tells you, one is the wiper blades aren't going to be the same size. So it's going to tell you the left side is 22 inches and the right side is 19, or it just varies like that. So yeah, that's just what I do. I always search it up. I know a lot of people, or like in the videos, like it's, if you have your car manual, I mean, that's something that's always gonna help. A lot of people don't have their car manual. I know I don't. So I always just use the internet to, search it up, or even asking people at going to a store, going to AutoZone, Walmart, the automotive section. Like there's always going to be somebody that will assist you and help you find the right size for anything that you need.
A pro tip to save money is wiper blades are surprisingly expensive at auto parts shops. They can easily be $29 to $35 for a single blade. So a pro tip is, if you have the time and energy, ordering a set from Amazon and just leaving it in your car is a great way to save money, because you can get both sides for 25 bucks and save more than half what you would spend at a store. The problem is most people replace them when they need to be replaced, and by then you sort of have to buy what's available. But it can save a lot of money if you order them online, because wiper blades are significantly cheaper online versus in person.
Yeah, Bailey's asking about Costco wiper blades.
Yeah. I can't speak to Costco. I can speak to them generally. I've heard they carry actually pretty good products. A lot of people say great things about their tire service in terms of price. You might have to wait a little longer, but I don't think they skimp out and get bottom of the barrel supplies. So I would say you could trust Costco's wiper blades.
Okay, last question about wiper blades. I've noticed that my it's streaky, and I think it's because maybe my wiper blades are bent. It's like not cleaning closely. I don't know how to explain it, but maybe you understand.
Yeah, is that happening after you've replaced a blade like recently, or is it's just happening right now?
Yeah, it's happening right now.
Yeah. So there's a few things. One thing you can always do if you have streaky blades is you can visually inspect the rubber because it should be like a thin blade of rubber from tip to tip. Sometimes it'll streak because dirt gets on it. So you can actually take like a microfiber cloth, get some cleaning ointment, and run it down the blade. You can do that on both blades, and sometimes that'll be enough to make sure it doesn't streak. Then from there, if it's still streaking, then you want to look into replacing them. But yeah, sometimes it's as simple as cleaning your blades off because grime can get lodged into a certain part of it, and that then creates a gap, a contact gap between that and the glass. So then fluid isn't being touched as it's dragged across the windshield. So maybe that'll help. I'll take a couple more questions in the last 2 minutes, and then Joel can, provide information about Kansas City. So if anyone has any questions about anything that we've talked about or anything we haven't talked about, I'm happy to take that right now. I'll take that as a sign. If you do have questions, Joel can forward them to me and Joel can forward them to me and we can make sure that it gets answered. I know Joel has a few more things to say, but I want to thank everyone for your time. Please stick around for the end of the presentation. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, Gaji. Okay. Sounds good. Let's see now. Those were the videos. Now we have another section. And like Gaji said, if y'all have any questions, I can forward it to him, as well as if I have the knowledge, then I will also provide the knowledge that of anything that you guys ask. So the next section is just vehicle maintenance resources and tips in the community. So let's see. So for oil changes, and I'll also put the link for this in the comments in a few minutes. But just going down the list like of the different resources, like for oil changes, washer fluid, as we can see right here. Like all the like businesses, Walmart, AutoZone, O'Reilly's, like what they do, free installations when you purchase an item. I feel like that's something that a lot of people wouldn't know. Especially like it's good, like Gaji was saying, um, to purchase items online because they are cheaper. But if you for some reason don't want to do that and then just want to get a free installation, then you can head to AutoZone and O'Reilly's. There's some packages at Walmart that are also pretty cheap for oil changes. For valve, I always I always mess up that name. Valvoline, something like that. Where you 50% off when you purchase oil and services. So, like those are all like resources in the KC metro area. Um, and then as well as for tires, discount tire up to 80% when you sign up or create an account. And again, these are some things that you may not want to do, but there are also like other small tire shops in the community that are just affordable. They're efficient. They're trustworthy. One of those, Amigos Tire Shop. And then, as I had mentioned in the video for the tires, the free tire pressure pump, that's very useful. I mean, there's a quick trip down the street from UMKC, so I stop there every once in a while when I see my tires just getting low. And then they also have the tire pressure checker where you can just go up to the counter, ask them, can I borrow the checker to check the tire pressure in my car, and they'll let you borrow it as long as you just bring it back. And they also sell some, so there's just a lot of small little resources. They're convenient. They're most likely along the way, if you're going to work, coming back from work, you can stop by. For brakes, Firestone, Complete Auto Care, Gorilla Tires, and then also AutoZone. AutoZones are always gonna provide like cheaper brakes, or there's a lot of different, something that's kind of interesting. There's a lot of different brands and like types of brakes. Obviously, you want to get the ones that are for your car. Some are smaller than others. So yeah, just search up your car, what brakes do I need, and then head to one of these stores, head to a local car store and just ask what they have, what's available. So yeah, Gorilla Tires located in Wyandotte County. If anybody's from KCK like me, go the dot. But yeah, so there's really anywhere in the community, any additional resources as well for general car maintenance. There's nonprofits that like if you know anybody that needs help that doesn't have the money for their car maintenance, any car repairs, Kansas City Community Car Care is a nonprofit, as we can see right here, that helps low income families. So if you know anybody, if you want to point them to the right direction to save some money, just you know to have a better deal, then that's definitely a good nonprofit to point them to. And then Jiffy Lube, a lot of people go to like Jiffy Lube, have a good reputation, just regular deals or oil changes. Um, and then Car Care kiosk by Advanced Auto Parts. And that's an online thing that you can search up. Always online is always gonna be a lot of cheap options, so that's definitely something that you wanna just keep in mind. Any instructional videos, anything on YouTube, search it up. They'll take care of that as well. So yeah, these are the resources that we had. And then I will provide the link for that. I will do that right now so that you guys can have access to it.
And Joel, we also have a comment in the chat that Sam's Club has free flat tire repairs if you have a membership there. And I know Costco does the same if you bought your tires there.
Okay, yeah.
So
Yeah, so there's a lot of businesses like that you buy from them, so they'll give you something in return for that. So I didn't know that. Sam's Club, head there if you need it, if you have a membership there. And then yeah, so there's always gonna be resources. If y'all know any resources um that I didn't include, you guys can put them in the comments, because I feel like a lot of people live in different areas. There's different resources all around that are more beneficial or more convenient for others than like people in different areas where they live. So if you guys know anything, y'all can go ahead and put it on in the comments. I just included the link as well to the Canva. It's a Canva with all these resources. So if you just want to head there and view all the resources, feel free to save that. I don't know if there's any other questions, any additional comments. Thank you, Sadie, for the Sam's Club shout out.
I think one comment I have is I mean, cars kind of intimidate me a little bit. But I found like whenever I go to AutoZone usually or any other auto store, um, the employees are always just very willing to like help you find what you need for your car. So of course, like you can Google it beforehand and everything. Um, but yeah, if the idea of like buying a car part from a store is very intimidating, usually AutoZone and all those other kind of advanced auto parts, they're just very helpful. So I don't know.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that feel that way, so they understand too. You're not the only one that feels intimidated. I know I used to be intimidated. I would ask my dad, come with me to the store real quick. but they definitely help. They definitely help. So, anything else? Any other questions before we wrap it up? Changeable wiper blades. They will, yeah. AutoZone also, like those type of stores, they also do like free general checks. So if you just want to check what's wrong with my car right now, is there anything I need to replace, they'll plug it into to a little computer, and then it'll tell them everything that you need to work on. So, those are also good things to know. Yes, thank you, Wesley. Um, okay. I can pass it on over to Leslie once again. Thank you guys for listening and watching the videos with us. Um, once if y'all have any questions, I can put my email in the comments, and you guys can just hit me up whenever. And any questions y'all have.
This is really great, Joel. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And again, I've downloaded the slide deck, so I will send those out. The link to the recording and the slide deck out to everyone who registered for today's webinar.
Sounds good.
We really appreciate you
Thank you.
doing this and all your hard work. Putting those videos together, I'm sure was not easy, so great
Yeah,
work. And really look forward to seeing all your all the cars you're going to be able to get keep on the road, I guess, through your work. So
yeah, I appreciate it. Thank
yeah,
you.
this is really exciting. So unless anybody has any last questions, we're going to give you back 6 minutes today.
Thank you to everybody that was participating as well. Even if you weren't commenting, you were just listening, thank you as well. Everybody, I appreciate everybody that attended. So yeah, thank you.
Right.
Everybody, you guys have a good day.
Okay,
Have a
thank
good
you so
rest of the day.
much.
Thank you.